All right, Robert.
Yes, sir.
Sales are down, listings are up. And the question we asked a couple of episodes ago on Real Estate Chat is where did listings go up the most and where did sales drop the most? Robert, are you ready to analyze this?
Yes, sir.
And so on this episode of Real Estate Chat with
John Perez.
and Robert Eid, we're going to look at Robert's analysis of 416 versus 905, listings versus sales. Now, just as a warning to many of you, this may look overly complicated because it is. Robert does a lot of number crunching to come at these numbers. And that's one of the reasons why Robert's able to deliver these before TRREB does at the end of the month. But we're going to simplify it for you on this episode. Make sure you click on subscribe. Let's jump into it. So, Robert, first of all, explain this whole bunch of numbers going on here before we simplify and let our real estate chat viewers where to focus on. Tell
Okay.
us your method.
For a number of years now, you can see this is page 64. Every day, or 9 out of 10 days, I've been monitoring and writing down and then putting into this chart the total number of listings in inventory from the Stratus, the total number of condo listings in inventory, and the total number of freehold ones. And then getting that same three triumvirate for 416, and then subtracting one from the other to get the 905 numbers. And then making a comparison, again, over the 2 years. Right now it's 21 September. Where are we now compared to the last 2 years? Is it the maximum compared to the minimum, compared to the average, compared to the last 6 months, and compared to the last 3 months? So the other day it came up that we didn't know which component. Was it 905 that's forcing up the inventory, is pushing up the number of inventory, or is it 416? And is it condos or is it freehold? There's much scuttlebutt about the flood of condos and everything like that. So he said, okay, well, I'll just go back 2 years and get whatever that field was and compare it to the current field and then make a calculation numeric and a calculation percentage. And we'll look at 24 months ago and 18 months ago and 12 months ago and 6 months ago and say, okay, where's the change been? Now, it comes out with a box that's sort of in the middle of the screen here that first of all, we look at, like, there's 3 components for listings and 3 components for sales, but they're the same. Listings, everything, and then below that, okay, is listings 416, and below that is listings 905. Each one of those 3 is broken into condo and freehold. So then, okay, we just look at the listings 905 because we have it in front of us. Okay, sorry. If we look at what's today compared to 6 months ago, which is the right in the middle, 6 months ago to now they're 57% more condos and 92% more condos. I'm sorry, free. I'm saying it upside down. So that says that in the listing portion of the 905 listings, that the increase we're seeing is in freeholds. And if we go out to the next column, okay, if we go up and do the same thing, if we compare 6 months ago, the freeholds are up 81% and the condos are up 58%. If we move over, we see the orange, sorry, the yellow highlight is to say which one of the categories is the most. So 12 months ago changed today from 12 months ago was more in condos and more 18 months ago and more and 24 months ago is about the same change. So we're going to draw a conclusion looking at the listings that in the 3 categories, all 416 and 905, the biggest increase is in freehold listings. So it's not condos that are driving up inventory, it's freehold. Now that's everything that's reported. Now, where does it come from? Let's look at listings in 416, next column down. Oh, it's the same thing. Oh, well, what about 905? Oh, it's the same thing. My goodness. So the all adds up to a total of the 416 and 905, even though 905 is 60% of the total. So there's an overweight from anything that happens, be it price or in this case listings, change in listings that affects the all. So if we go down to the second, sorry, go
So
ahead.
before we get to that, Robert, so
Yeah.
the interesting point here is that we get the perception, or we get the, even in the office buzz, there seems to be a lot of condos getting on the market. There seems to be a lot of condos sitting on the market. And so you kind of think, and for our real estate chat viewers who have clicked on subscribe by now, some of you might think that why is there so many condos, not realizing that, and this was astounding to me to see just by how much freeholds have been on the market. But what would be one of the causes why someone would have a perception of, yeah, you know what, there's a lot of condos on the market, where in fact there's a lot more freeholds that have increased?
Well, there's three chunks of condos. There's the resale for sales, and then there's the rental condos, and then there's the pre-sales and assignment whole monkey business that everybody is sort of on the periphery of, and a few people are right in the middle of. So they know that there's incentives like crazy coming from for these half-built or almost getting ready to dig pre-sales, and so it's condo. And there's lots of rentals, but they get snapped up because there's no rentals. And the condos are being delivered to the market. So as they're delivered to the market, and they're either being rented for 1 year to take advantage of the landlord HST kickback. But as the end of that time, 1 year comes, then they put it up for sale. And so you have a lot of resale condos that didn't exist as possibilities 2 years ago.
So that's the reason why there seems to be a lot of them, but in fact, there's a lot more freeholds hitting on the market. Now let's look at sales, because the interesting thing about this is that you'd think with all of the availability of freeholds on the market that there would be a lot of selection, but what do we see on the sales side of things, Robert?
Okay, well, in sales, if you look at 6 months change, the condos are down by 34%, let's call it, as opposed to 23% for all of the freeholds. 12 months out is pretty close, 23 to 26. 18 months out is pretty close, 61, 63. And 2 years ago, the change is 50%, 44. So maybe that's significant, maybe it's not. It's 2 years ago. So if we go down to break it down by zone in 416, 6 months ago, there's 34% less sales than 6 months ago in condos, where there's 20% in freehold. If we go 12 months, it's about the same, 19, 16. 18 months ago, 64, 57, it's a long time ago. And then 24 months ago, there's fewer, 48, nearly 49 to 40% less. So again, the highlighter shows which category wins. So there's fewer by a percentage.
So question before we get to the 905 numbers, so far what we're seeing in the 416 is that it's obvious why all these numbers are negative is because sales are down. So obviously you're comparing that sales are down.
Which one's the worst? Which
one is the worst, right? So despite the fact that the listing inventory for freeholds have shot up significantly versus condos, the amount of sales have not dropped as drastically for freehold as much as condos. Yeah, and now let's look at what that means in the 905.
Same thing. The number of sales is 33% less, whereas the number of sales is 24% less compared to the sales 6 months ago, compared to the sales 12 months ago, 18 months ago. Mostly it's condos that have performed more poorly than the freeholds in our resale market.
All right. So now some of our real estate chatters in previous videos in the comments say, okay, hey, great. You guys are great at show and tell. What do I do with this information? And sometimes it's about reading between the lines. But Robert, for our viewers who want to take action on knowing this information ahead of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board releasing its stats, maybe 2 weeks or so-ish from now, September 30th is the last day of September. So what is somebody watching this who has now heard that inventory for freeholds has risen more than condos, and yet the drop in sales of freehold is less in condos. So that would mean there's a glut of condos out there. What can somebody do with this information? Likewise, somebody looking for freehold, what should they do knowing these dynamics?
If they're actually serious about buying something to live in, then they already know that there's, well, no, I don't say in the numbers, on the ground, there's fewer homes to buy because of the ones that come on the market. At least a third of them have got a future date. So you can't buy them today. So you're playing the same game. So what's the recommendation? Okay, we all got to make a look. So nobody wants to hear this, but this is it. Wait, right? Let this sort itself out. When 2 weeks from now, the board comes out and says, lousiest month in a long time. Inventory way up, but we sort of wanted that, but now that we have it, we don't want it. And sales continue to be lousy. But of course, relative to September of 1999, it was great. So it'll be interesting how they spin it because they're in the encouraging buyers business and they're in the encouraging sellers to sell business. So if prices are falling, then who do you tell to do something? You tell sellers to move fast because prices are falling. If prices are rising, you say, do whatever you want, sellers, and you tell buyers, move fast because prices are rising. So how can we tell both segments the same thing at the same time? You say prices are falling, do what you want. If you must sell, the quicker the better. If you must buy, wait. But sometimes you don't have time to wait.
So what if somebody can't wait? And let's say, for example, you're in a situation where you're, I guess, forced to buy. I don't know if you're forced to buy. The tenant said, your landlord said, hey, we sold our place. You've got 2 months. Should that person find another rental? Or let's say they were saving up and they're in a position to buy. I guess the question would be this, Robert. This is what buyers have been praying for, inventory. We talked about that in our previous video. What's wrong with buying now? Let's take it to that extreme. What would be detrimental if I bought now? Okay. And I didn't listen to you and I didn't wait. I want to buy it now.
If you want to buy now, you've got a budget and you've got some locational constraints that you've decided on. So if you can buy exactly what you need at the price you can qualify for, where you want it, then go ahead because you will now own what you want. You will have the benefits of property ownership. You will have community. You will have an increased credit score because now you're a property owner. Just do it. And you will look around and you'll make the very best deal you possibly can. Now, can you wait till next month? Well, it's changed. The season's different. The inventory will be different. Will there be more? Yeah, but will there be the perfect thing? You only want one. You don't care what the market is. So if it meets 80% of your criteria of perfect, take it. And if it's in the price range, you must buy it because you won't get perfect at your price any other time than now.
So if I'm hearing Robert correctly, know your budget, don't overstretch yourself, don't do anything irresponsible. If you fall in love with that one, go for it. I mean, obviously you're going to be living there not for 1 year or 2 years. You're going to be living there for a while. But if you haven't fallen in love, if it's less than 80%, if maybe only 50% of it matches that criteria that you want, just wait. Now, if you're a seller, Robert, sellers are, I don't like using extreme words here, so I'll probably stay polite, but sellers right now are facing immense challenges. Now, mind you, sellers of fantastic properties are not. They're still seeing in places in New York region, we're seeing multiple offers still abound and the overbidding still happening in some places. That's another episode we did as well. Make sure you watch that. But for sellers in specifically challenged areas where there's some places in Scarborough where I used to browse these and you'd be lucky to find two within a 10-minute drive of each other or even 5-minute drive. Now within a walking distance, there's like 6, 8, 10 of them. And from one of our colleagues, we've heard that, a couple of them were to hit the market, had not multiple offer nights, but had offer nights. None of them sold.
And failed.
What should a seller do right now?
Okay. Why are you selling? If you're selling an estate, you want to sell it. You want to sell it now so that it closes November the 1st, if you can. If you're selling to buy something else, then you've got to find out where you're going and assess both of those markets at the same time. Now, if you're in a position where you can buy first and then sell yours, fantastic, do that. If you want to be absolutely sure what you're going to sell for before you buy, I don't think you're going to be happy doing that, because you will have the money, but you won't know where you're going, and you're going to feel a little bit of pressure to acquire. Now, realtors, the way we mispronounce it in the United States, is based on getting you to do things now. So if you've sold your home, then you will buy. So you're motivated to be the sold, and you're motivated to be the buy. However, if you're my mother, then I'll tell you something different. And I think that's what the purpose of this is. If you're my close relative and I'm going to have to live with you for the next 50 years, not 50 minutes, then I'm going to tell you to sell the excess condos, sell them. And if you're a buyer, look real hard at everything and make an offer on the best one. And if you don't get it, wait for the next one that's even better.
So I think it's fair to say, for you watching this, we've gone a bit more than read between the lines here. And we look at you as our relatives, and we want you to take this advice properly. That's the reason why we did this channel and why we want as much transparency, education. Yes, we're realtors. We make it so clear. I mean, you can see it in the background here, but you've got to do the right thing, right? Listen carefully. If you're working with somebody right now, listen to the advice that they're giving you, and watch this videos, read the newspapers. And again, we're telling you not to take it at face value, but read between what the media is telling you and use your intelligence and analyze, are they saying this because they want me to do a certain thing, or are they saying this because it's to my benefit? You've got to take things beyond just face value. And we do a lot of that in this channel. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a single thing. Thank you so much, Robert, for putting that together. And thank you, Real Estate Chat viewers, for supporting us and for your comments. And I hope you found something actionable based on the advice Robert has given. Make sure you leave into the comments what you think. Like this video, tell your friends, family, loved ones about it. Take care, and bye for now.
See ya. Bye-bye.